112 teams to go in my road to predict all 131 teams this college football offseason. We're on now to the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and these next couple days, guys, are going to be Big Ten West days, as Minnesota is part of the most wide open division in all of college football, the Big Ten West. That's my opinion, at least. But Minnesota, after seeing a scary injury to their lead running back last year in the first game, the season opener, the home opener as well, their running back depth had to be tested last year, and it was, and their defense really stepped it up and was one of the better, more underrated defenses in the country. But can Minnesota start to take a step back up towards where they were in 2019, or will Minnesota take a step back here in 2022? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason, which means I'm doing your favorite team. So subscribe, ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded, and especially Minnesota fans in this video, but to anyone that watches any of my videos out there, you guys are going to know a lot more about your team than me. So if you guys would like to add something or feel like I missed something, or maybe even got something wrong, because hey, that happens sometimes, leave it down in the comment section below. I'd be happy to read through them. Minnesota is my 9th ranked team in the Big Ten in 2022. Again, I'm not going to spoil where I have teams in the position, but I will tell you all 5 of the teams that I have not covered in the Big Ten West yet are the next 5 teams I'm doing videos on, which means they're the next 5 teams in my power ranking. So, I mean, again, that's the most wide open division in all of college football. And I truly, really do believe that. And I truly believe that any one of these 5 teams I'm about to talk about over these next couple of days can win the division. So let's go ahead and go with Minnesota up first. Here in 2021, they were 9-4, 8-4 in the regular season, 6-3 in conference play. As far as their offensive numbers, 360 yards a game, 25.5 points per game. Again, those numbers alone aren't going to win you a whole lot of football games, especially when you only score around 25 points per game in a conference like the Big Ten. But their defense, one of the most underrated defenses, in my opinion, in the country last year. 284 yards per game, along with 18 points per game, both those numbers on the defensive side of the ball. That is a fantastic defensive stat line. They did really, really well at stopping the pass, did not allow over 200 yards a game last year, which is what you'd like to see. And their run defense was good as well, only around 100 yards a game. So an all-around really good defense last year, but that all-around really good defense is losing a lot of all-around great talent. But starting with the offensive end, guys, under PJ Fleck, I told you that this running back depth was tested last year, and a lot of that running back depth is gone. So, yeah, Kai Thomas and Marquise Irving, and both of them are gone off this team. 824 yards, 6 touchdowns for Thomas, 699 yards and 4 touchdowns for Irving last season. So you lose that production. They were your 2 leading rushers after Mo Ibrahim went down last year. Also lose a tight end in there as well. Keeft, again, I'm sorry if I mispronounced names, and a plethora of offensive linemen, including a guy with a lot of talent in Daniel Faalele. So having to replace some guys on the offensive line there. On the defensive end, again, just a lot of talent gone. Boye Mafe was their sack leader last year, had 7 of them. He's gone off this team, as well as guys that can contribute sacks like Otomewo, Pinkney, and Dude Treadway was going to be a guy that probably would have stepped up this year, but again is no longer on the team. Otherwise, you also lose leading tackler Jack Gibbons. He had 92 of them last year, and some pretty solid defensive backs as well in Coney Durr and Justice Harris. So, again, losing some talent on the defensive side of the ball and losing a lot of talent that was really good on a defense that was really good a season ago. But you know what, guys? They have a lot of talent coming back, and including quarterback Tanner Morgan. This feels like his 90th season in a Minnesota Golden Gophers uniform. He's been there for a long time, and he's coming back this year. 2,044 yards, 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year. There's no other way for me to say this, but in order for this team to start to take that next step and push for a Big Ten West title this year, they have to see the Tanner Morgan of 2019. Tanner Morgan's got to improve his play from where he has been in the past seasons. Otherwise, this team may not get as far as a Big Ten championship appearance. But this wide receiver core has got a lot of good talent. You return Dylan Wright, Chris Ottman-Bell, and Michael Brown-Stevens, which are your 3 leading targets from last year. And you also return your 4th leading target from last year in Brevin Spanford, the tight end. So good talent coming back on this team. Also, Daniel Jackson does come back. So your top 5 receivers from a season ago are coming back for Minnesota, and that's huge. That is absolutely huge. Lots of experience coming back, including a guy like Chris Ottman-Bell. I've already talked about Mo Ibrahim. I think he's one of the best backs in the country. He's coming back from Minnesota as well. Look for him to have a monster season. And on the defensive side, still some really good talent. Thomas Rush is coming back, had 5.5 sacks last year. Darnell Jeffries is a transfer coming in from Clemson, like Niles Pinckney was last year. On the linebacking side of things, you got a guy with a lot of talent in Mariano Sori-Marin. He was your 2nd leading tackler last year with 85 of them. Did have a pick last year as well. And speaking of picks, your interception leader is coming back in Tyler Newman. Had 3 of them last year, along with guys like Jordan Howden and Justin Wally, who led your team in passes defended with 7 of them last year. Go ahead and take a look at this Minnesota schedule here. Starting out in their non-conference games, you got home games all throughout the non-conference play. That's against New Mexico State, Western Illinois, and then Colorado is that interesting non-conference game that kind of jumps out to a lot of people. Once you get into conference play, you got road games against Michigan State, Illinois, Penn State, Nebraska, and Wisconsin, and home games against Purdue, Rutgers, Northwestern, and Iowa. So kind of looking at this schedule here a little bit before we get into the actual prediction. Like I've said, guys, this Big Ten West, I think is going to beat up on each other. And I'd be surprised to see any team do better than maybe 6-3. Although I could see a team out of this Big Ten West going 7-2. But I think it's going to be interesting to see if a team can really start to dominate this Big Ten West this year, which I don't think is going to happen. And the teams, of course, I'm talking about are Purdue, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, and then this Minnesota Golden Gophers team that I'm talking about in this video. And as far as Minnesota's cross schedule from the other division, from the Big Ten East, there are some tricky games. I mean, on the road against Michigan State, that's not going to be an easy one. Yes, Michigan State's not going to be as good as they were last year, but they're still going to be a good football team. Penn State trying to look to put themselves back on the map, and that's a team with a lot of talent on it, and of course being played in Happy Valley. But that also is a game right there. That's the game that Penn State has to play before they play Ohio State, before the probable whiteout game. So we'll see what happens there. But again, I'll give Penn State the edge early. When you look at the Big Ten West opponents, I think Purdue is going to be really, really good this year. I think they have the 2nd best quarterback in the Big Ten, along with a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. Nebraska's getting Scott Frost's best team yet. Iowa and Wisconsin are 2 very interesting teams of their own. This is a very interesting schedule, and it's a very, very interesting division that Minnesota is part of. Again, guys, I do not do game by game. Instead, I do a more percentage-based outlook to help me determine a team's record. So games in red are games that you're probably not going to win. Orange is you're still probably not going to win, but hey, it's college football and upsets can happen. Yellow are your 50-50 or high upset potential games. Games in yellow-green are games that you should win, but watch out for the team on the other side of the ball. And games in green are games where you should probably walk away with a win. So 2 games in green. That's the game against New Mexico State and the game against Western Illinois. Should be able to win those 2 games. That game against Colorado is piquing my interest a little bit because I do feel like Colorado is going to be better than they have been in previous seasons. Although I still don't see Colorado being that great of a team, although I do see them making some small improvements this year, as I just said. Still don't see them being that great, and I think Minnesota should have an easy time with them, and I think they'll win that non-conference game. But once you get into conference play, this is where things really get interesting for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. They get very interesting. So again, when we talk about the games against Big Ten West opponents, Illinois and Northwestern should be wins that most every team in the Big Ten West that I haven't covered yet should be able to get wins. So there's at least 2. Then there's going to be some beating up of each other within the conference. There's definitely going to be some beating up of each other within this conference. I mean, look, when you look at it, again, I think Purdue's going to be a very talented a very, very talented football team. I think Aiden O'Connell's the second best quarterback in the Big Ten. Kind of hard to beat out a guy as talented as C.J. Stroud. Nebraska, again, not Scott Frost's best team yet. You will see their video later today, which kind of gives you an idea where they are in the power rankings. But Nebraska, look, this is the team that's been disappointing, for my opinion, way too long. And it's finally time that Nebraska turns it around. I think it's going to be a very challenging Nebraska team to play in 2022. And then your final 2 games of the year are at home against Iowa and on the road against Wisconsin. 2 very interesting games there. And again, all those games there are in yellow. They are in yellow, along with a home game against Rutgers that I don't think is going to be a pushover either. Again, Rutgers is trying to cement themselves back into bowl game status. And I don't think Rutgers is going to be a pushover for most any team that's on Rutgers' schedule this season. But again, talking about Iowa and Wisconsin here, those are 2 of the, over recent history, have been 2 of the better teams in this division. Wisconsin's been to numerous Big Ten championship games. But again, much like Minnesota, though, they got to improve that quarterback play, right? Graham Mertz started off his career with a bang in his first game against Illinois and has been very, very mediocre since. Although I do feel like he made some improvements last year, he's still not a grade A quarterback, in my opinion. So definitely some improvement to still be made. Same thing with Iowa, right? You got to improve that quarterback play there with Spencer Petras at the helm. Maybe Alex Padilla comes in to play there as well. But this is a very interesting schedule, and I think Minnesota's going to have a tough time going on the road, playing in Spartan Stadium, playing in Happy Valley. I don't necessarily see them winning any of those games, and that's why those games are in orange. For Minnesota, guys, in 2022, I do have you guys right back where you were last year at 8-4. Now, last year, it should have been like a 9-3 team. Again, you have that loss to Bowling Green that Minnesota fans tried to forget. But as far as the team this year, I have 9-3 as my ceiling. Again, I think the Big Ten is a very, very tough conference. Minnesota's got some very, very tough and tricky road games here. And I believe that Minnesota, though, with Mo Ibrahim, with Tanner Morgan, especially if he can improve that play, are going to be a really, really solid team. And absolutely, if everything goes well and maybe even better than a lot of people, including myself, are expecting, Minnesota could end up finding themselves in Indianapolis in the Big Ten championship game. But a couple keys: keep that defense moving, keep it as good as last year. You're going to need some guys to step up, and Tanner Morgan's got to do some stepping up of his own as well. So there you go, guys. That's my thoughts on Minnesota in 2022. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, anything you can to help support the channel. And remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next one. Goodbye.